The Rock and Roll Coffee Show is brought to you by Writers and Rockers Coffee Company, keeping the music and memories alive with some damn good coffee. Visit them at writersandrockerscoffee.com. And Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 70s, 80s, 90s retro. ShopRetroactive.com.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, we do.
And you know, with you, you've had so many great things happen in your career. I don't even know where to start. You know what? But let's do this. Let's start with what you did recently, The Dead or Alive with George Lynch.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, my guitar player Tony had a riff guitar, and he played the riff for me back in Denver, and I said I like that riff, and I put the song around it, meaning the verse, the melody, the bridge section, all that stuff, I put it around it, and I had Pat, my bass player, and we did the lyrics, and Joy was there to assist as well. But it's really a collaboration. But anyway, we had the song, and we didn't do anything with it. It was actually originally for XYZ. We didn't do anything with it. So the song was in the hard drive for about 3-4 years.
Oh, wow.
And I came across those kids, All or Nothing, and I like those kids. They're really good. They're the new generation. They have a lot to offer, a lot of energy, and I wanted to help them. And so we did a few shows together, and they sounded great and stuff. And they asked me if I had any songs, and I said I might. As a matter of fact, I might. But their manager Eric came up with the idea. He says, "Why don't we have you do the song with George? Because it's very." He listened to the song. He said, "Wow, it's very dark." And he said, "Well, yeah, when we wrote the song, not just the riff, but the rest of the song, I had darken in mind. Something you get inspired."
Sure.
And I wanted to specifically make the song very early XYZ darken, which the first album by XYZ was very much influenced by darken. So not so much the second, but the first one so much. And I said, yeah, why don't we get the kids to play a rhythm and some of the rhythm tracks, and maybe have George play with the rhythm as well and lead. And I contacted George. I said, would you be interested? And George said, let me listen to the track. And he listened to the track, and he liked it a lot. He said, yeah, it's very Lynch, very darkened.
Yeah, sounds like George.
Yeah, so he said, that's perfect for me. So I sent him the track, and we played on it, and the rest is history, because I got to tell you, I'm really surprised how the reaction, I didn't know what to expect. We just put it out there, and that's about it. There's no promotion behind it. There's no record company. There's really nothing behind it. Just the fans listening to the song on Facebook and YouTube. And it's got, as of today, within 3 weeks, I think we released it 3 weeks ago or 3.5 weeks ago, it's got 137,000 views, which is amazing.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, for no promotion, no radio support, no PR, nothing, just the fans sharing the song. There's nothing else. So I'm very excited about that, and I want to thank the fans for doing that, and I want to thank George, and I want to thank the kids, All or Nothing as well.
Yeah, well, it's a great song. I mean, the song speaks for itself. That's probably why it's doing so well. It's a good song.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you going to do anything else with those guys, or just that one song right now?
I'd like to, actually. I'd like to. I have some shows coming up with George. I think they're still on, and we have some shows coming up. We have one in Michigan. We have other shows in Florida and Alabama, I believe. I'm not sure. So we have to do those shows. And meanwhile, I'm going to write another song, maybe collaborate with George a little bit more, or maybe with the kids a little bit more, and we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen.
Were you and George doing other stuff?
No, really. I've always been a big fan of George. I think George is a tremendous guitarist. His sound is absolutely Fantastic. That's all I can say. You know,
Yeah.
George is one of my all-time favorite guitarists by far of that era. When
Hmm.
it comes when it comes to 80s, 90s music, I think there are some great players, you know, and George is definitely on top. He's definitely by far one of the best. You have Eddie Van Halen, you have Michael Schenker, you have other great players as well, but
Sure.
you have Zach, but you really have George right on the top, very top.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of and what I like about George is he's one of a kind. He doesn't sound like anybody else. He's George Lynch.
Hmm.
Um, it's pretty rare.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for guitarists to be unique. George is George has one thing for him. He's unique,
Hmm.
and that's a very rare quality.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that the first XYZ album was, you know, influence had Dokken influence in it.
Oh yeah,
Now Don produced that, correct?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So did he bring a lot of that Dokken influence in, or
No,
were you guys already
well, he
there?
did. He did. I think the first album was actually much bluesier than the album itself. The
Mm.
demos were much bluesier. We didn't think to bring so much of that Dokken influence. We had some songs that were kind of Dokkenish, but for the majority, that songs like After the Rain, or songs like Inside Out, or songs like um, I don't know what else we had with the album, but they didn't sound like Dokken at all.
Mm.
But working with Don was great because he actually brought a lot of his, I would say, his pedigree, so his sound. And of course, when you work with someone that has such a sound, of course, immediately you're gonna absorb that sound as well. But if you listen to songs like what was on the first album? Follow the Night. It's a kind of
Mm.
song. It's not Dokken at all. It's nothing to do with Dokken. But the production became more Dokkenish than the demos themselves because Don produced the album. So he gave us his stamp, which is okay.
Mm.
It's fine. The second album, we needed to move forward. We had a great time with George with Don on the first album, but second album, we were pretty much ready, you know,
Hmm.
and okay.
Hmm. And how'd you get involved with Don?
Um, Through our PR firm. Actually, through what happened is we were about to work with Paul Stanley. Paul Stanley was our first choice.
Really? That was your
Yeah,
choice?
yeah, first choice, first choice. We met with Paul. Paul was supposed to produce the album, and then by the time we were ready to record and all that stuff, Paul was actually on tour and couldn't do it. So
Mm. Hmm.
we had to look for somebody else, and we didn't know who to work with. We had different people who we were thinking about, but a record company mentioned Don Dokken, and we liked the idea because we're big fans of Don. I mean, Don is back in the '80s. Don was it, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, great songwriter and great singer and everything. So we were very excited to meet with him, and he became some type of an older brother to us. You know, we had a you know love-hate relationship with him, like
Yeah.
always having it with an older brother. But to this day, we still chat and still talk, and um, there's just like it's always the way it's going to be when you have an older brother. You know, you love him and you hate him, but
Mm.
overall, I love the guy, and I respect him tremendously. He's, he's, he has written great songs and a great singer, and yeah, only
That's-
great things to say about him.
Yeah, that's awesome that you stay in contact.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you guys were signed, I believe, with Atlantic, correct? Before Enigma, I think, is what you released your record on.
You were so smart. Yes, right.
I'm not that smart, but
We were
uh,
assigned to
what
Atlantic,
happened?
where they do what they call a veil, meaning they say put you on the back burner and said, give us 3 months and we'll sign the contract in 3 months. But I think we're gonna sign you guys. And by the same time, at the same time, they were signing different bands. They had Skid Row, they had White Lion, they had a bunch of bands, and
Hmm.
they had a lot of bands that they basically signed everything at the same time. So they were overwhelmed with so many bands, and they told us that. they couldn't handle us. They said, "We love you guys, but we got too many bands. There's only so many A&R, so we're not gonna sign you guys." So they let us go. We were pretty devastated.
Sure.
We're pretty devastated because we didn't know what to do. We're like, wow, what do we do? So within the next few days, we wrote Inside Out and After the Rain, and we started playing those songs live one day at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. When it's a funny thing, there was maybe 8 people in the audience. Maybe,
Wow.
yeah, 8 people. We were packing the clubs all the time. But we wanted to try a new song, Inside Out, under a different name. We didn't want the crowd to know that we had a different song. So we did not announce the band. We just went under whatever, Joe Schmo. So we played the Troubadour one night very late, on a Monday night, I remember very well. And it was late, using a different name. And I said, let's try Inside Out, see how people like it. We played the song and we played After the Rain. And that night there was an A&R guy, and he loved the song, and the rest is history.
Wow. He just happened to be in that club at that
Well,
night.
yeah, actually, it's a little bit different. There was a girl, a friend of mine, Sharon, used to follow us a lot, and she gave the demo to a demo of our songs to the A&R guy named Curtis Beck, and he found out through her that we were playing the whiskey. The Troubadour that particular night. We didn't know he would be there. So I remember very, very well going on stage, very nonchalant and whatever, didn't care. And he was there and he loved the song. And the next day he said, he gave us a phone call and said, "Hi, this is Curtis Beck. Sharon, give me your telephone number. And would you please call us? We're very interested in the band." I'm like, "Yeah, right." So we didn't call him. And then he called again a few days later. And I thought it was my roadie,
Messing around.
messing around. So I called him. I said, "Come on, Brad, leave me alone. Come on, dude." The guy went to the phone and said, "This is Curtis Beck." I said, "No, it's not." So he said, "Well, I tell you what," because I called the number and he said, "Well, tell you what, call again one more time." And he called again and we went to dispatch and somebody said, "Enigma Record, may I help you?" I'm like, "Oh, wow," because he gave us his direct line. So I'm like, holy cow, it's the real deal. So we went there to the record company, not knowing. I think it was just a prank and they just wanted to sign the band for $10 or whatever. So we asked ridiculous things like, we want a limo when we go somewhere, we want $500,000, we want to have this and that. And the guy was writing down everything. Okay. I'm not sure I can do that, but okay.
He must have been like, who in the hell are these guys?
Yeah, he was like, "Well, I don't know if I can do that. Let me think about it." And then he gave us a call a few days later and said, "The big boss wants to meet you guys, wants to see you guys live." So I'm like, whoa. So we organized a show at the country club. We did a show and that particular weekend, and it was absolutely packed, sold out, because we announced the band. You have to understand that we had the largest attendance of an unsigned band in Los Angeles. All the bands like Warrant were signed, so we didn't compete with them anymore. Poison was signed, Guns N' Roses was signed. We were the last one to not be signed, but having such a big attendance. We broke everybody's attendance at the Whiskey, the Roxy, everyone. Yeah. So we announced that we're playing the country club. All the fans showed up, and I got to tell you, they were there that night, and I remember very well the president of the labels shaking my hand and said, "We're going to sign the contract. Welcome to the label." I'm like, is that a dream? So I went home that night thinking, that's got to be a dream. It's got to be a dream. And no, on Monday, we got a phone call and we met with the executive and we started the paperwork.
And they gave you everything you asked for or no?
Almost. They gave us a lot of money. Money-wise, they gave us a ton of money. I mean, lots of money. We were overwhelmed with the amount of money. We were overwhelmed with everything, and we were very very happy.
So here you are in Los Angeles. but you came over from France, right?
Right.
You know what? For whatever reason, for the longest time, I thought you guys were from New York.
Well,
Did you guys have anything to do with New York?
yeah.
You
Well, we
did.
came to Los Angeles. We went to New York for a little while. Pat and I lived in a car, and we had a Buick, in 1976 Buick, Le Sabre, and we lived in the car. We had no place to go, and then we were parking the car pretty much everywhere we could, and the car got so many tickets, so the car got towed. So we ended up moving to LA.
Oh, and that's what got you to LA.
Yes.
Wow. How long were you out in LA before you signed your deal?
I think we moved to Los Angeles in 87, 86, I believe, 86. We signed the deal in 88.
Okay. Now, you apparently you guys did well out there, but how did you fit in with the other bands that were out there? Because you guys don't sound like the typical LA band. You know what I mean?
It was a bit different because I have to tell you that we, as you said, we didn't sound like, we didn't have black hair
Right.
like some bands like a band Tango, or we didn't have the Poison look with makeup and everything. We tried one day and I'm like, dude, I look like a transvestite, because I had big muscles. I'm like, look at me, man, that looks stupid.
Yeah, that
So
looked weird.
yeah, I didn't fit. That didn't look so. And we were not pretty boys like Bon Jovi. So we're like, where do we fit in? So we were just in between all those bands. We were a bit Judas Priest, a bit of blues, a bit that. We didn't know where we were.
Right.
But we got along with everybody. We used to talk to the bands, Band Tango, Tough. Warrant was already signed, but we knew them because we did shows with them, but they were already big. All those bands were already big. All the as I said, Poison bands were signed, were very big. We were the last band to get signed who ended up doing well. So we were kind of the king of the hill at the time because that was it. It was XYZ, the biggest band. And it was a lot of great bands. Band Tango was doing very well, but they got signed after us. We all got along. I mean, there was no competition.
Good.
We all got along well, and I think we get along even better these days. And when I talk to band members, we just laugh, and we all got along well.
Yeah, yeah. So you record your first album. Now, did that take off right away? Because from my memory, I remember Inside Out being all over MTV, Headbangers Ball especially.
It was amazing. The song, we had no idea, took off like crazy. Was number one on MTV. There was the one that there was, I don't know how, on Billboard. The track was number 40 on Billboard charts. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I was really surprised. I remember one day in 1990, New Year's Eve 1990, we were, was it 1990, 1989, whatever. We were listening to KNAC, the biggest rock station at the time. And there was a countdown, and they were like, all the songs that were number 10, number 9. So I was driving in my car. I remember I had a Pontiac Firebird convertible, and a really nice car. I was driving, and driving the car, and like number 9, number 8. I'm like, oh man, we're not even number 8. Oh my God, we're not even number 7.
Thought you dropped off.
Yeah, and then number 3, Guns N' Roses. Oh my God, we didn't make it. Number 2, Metallica, and number 1, XYZ, most requested song on KNAC. I'm like, oh my God. I literally stopped driving. I didn't have a phone. I was cell phone at the time, 1990. So I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm number 1. I'm number 1. I mean, I was number 1 on KNAC and number 3 on Pirate Radio. And it was big stations, I was blown away. I have to be honest with you. And it took off like crazy. We toured nonstop. A lot of bands wanted to tour with us because I think we were the real deal, meaning we were musicians. We are musicians, and we had a great guitarist, great drummer. And bands wanted to tour with us. We toured with Dio, we did some dates with Ozzy. We were a little bit harder than most. We were pretty boys / hard Judas Priest wannabe. We were in that category, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially the second album was much harder. In fact, some of the songs are really heavy, almost like Priest. because that's who we liked. We liked Judas Priest, we liked all that stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So was that more, was the second album, was that XYZ more compared to the first?
No, first and second was still XYZ. You just you know, you evolve, you just grow
Hmm.
into other things. The first album we were searching for ourselves, trying to get signed like everybody else, going to the strip clubs, like, writing
Hmm.
songs about strippers, writing songs about making it, writing songs about hoping to get something in life and everything. Second album, you got somewhere, and you want to keep that.
Hmm.
You want to keep what you just got. So lyrics were different, and the music was much much harder. Some of
Hmm.
the songs, like "The Sun Also Rises in Hell," it's really heavy. This is not a song. This is not a song for what they call a hair. What's it called? That hair band, whatever. This is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very very
Yeah.
heavy. I mean, heavy. It's not Metallica, but it's
Right.
it's more like priest heavy.
Sure. Sure. And then, are you the main songwriter, or was it a collaboration with everybody, or how did you approach songwriting?
It's a good question. I think it depends on the song. I mean, I think Mark wrote a lot of the riff. He did. Pat wrote a lot of lyrics. I wrote a lot of the music as well, and lyrics as well.
Hmm.
Um, I was in between. Mark would write a riff, but didn't go anywhere with it, and I would come up just like the song "Dead or Alive." I come up and say, "Oh, wait a minute, I got it. Verse goes this way," because I play guitar. So verse
Right.
goes this way, pre-chorus this way, bridge this way, blah blah blah. And then Pat and I would get together and write the lyrics. The melody was always for me. Title usually always for me, but it was a collaboration. Paul was there as well sometimes. Um, it was a collaboration more or less, meaning sometimes I had more to do than the other guys, and sometimes um, Mark would come up with a riff that says it all. There was not much to do with it. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
well, that's it. The song is written.
Right.
There was it's a collaboration. Sometimes one guy does more than the other, basically.
Sure. Now, the second album, when that came out, because you very successful on the first album, you guys sold over 2 million albums, I believe, right?
Mm.
Yeah, very successful band. Now the second one was not as successful, correct? Or was that more successful?
Was not the second album only
Right.
sold at the time 267,000 copies at
Hmm.
the time. Now I'm sure it sold more, but in
Sure.
1991 it sold 267,000 copies. And at the time, today would be great. Nowadays, back then it was a failure. But you have to realize that labels, when we released the second album, we were late.
Hmm.
Guns N' Roses was doing everything they could. Metallica was coming out, and Soundgarden was out there, Pearl Jam, Nirvana. So all those bands were changing the music scene, and we were too late. We came up with a rock, heavy blues, and everything, like Face Down in the Gutter, and people were like, "Yeah, that's cool, but I want to hear Nirvana now."
Yeah, they were over it.
Radio stations were only playing Nirvana. A radio station didn't want to hear rock like my band or Great White or
Hmm.
Warhol or Poison. They didn't want to
Hmm.
hear that anymore. They switched format completely. They switched to Nirvana type of music, which is fine.
Hmm.
But for some reasons, we felt like everybody was letting us down. All the radio stations, or some of the fans, I would say, let us down. They didn't care anymore. Um, we felt let down. Not just us, but many other bands. Many. We couldn't tour anymore. Nobody wanted us. We were like the rejects. Oh, those '80s bands. Nobody wanted them. You know.
Right. Right. That's got to be really exhausting mentally, to be up top and then all of a sudden now nobody wants you.
Yeah, I remember talking to Janie Lane, all those guys. We were talking. Say, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm busy doing whatever, cleaning my cars, whatever.
Hmm.
Nobody wanted to. We went from a certain plateau as far as money to a much lower revenue within a year. People are, oh,
Yeah.
But I said, wait a minute, you bought my album, you bought my my package, the band last year for that amount of money. How is that? Are you buying it now for a third of that? Or nobody's gonna want you guys. And it's true. Most people, most fans, come see us. We were no longer, not just us, but many of the 80s band were no longer the flavor of the month. So there was no way we could tour. I mean, we tried touring. We changed the format. We did some acoustic stuff and everything. I went on tour with Michael Schenker. We did all kinds of great things, but the attendance was very low. And it just not me. I mean, I can tell you that all the bands, all of the bands in the 80s, in the early 90s, till the end of the 90s, most of the rock bands didn't do well. They were playing clubs. I mean, Deep Purple was playing a big club.
Now, how about overseas? Were you still successful over there at that time, or did that fall off too?
It fell off, but not as much. I think the Seattle movement didn't catch as much. They didn't do as well over there overseas. Over here in Europe, most bands, in fact, were touring Europe because they don't want us in the US. We're going to tour Europe. Of course, Europe doesn't pay as much, but the only way to make money and make a living was to tour Europe.
Right.
A lot of bands were just touring Europe and Japan nonstop. Japan, Europe, Japan, not Europe. The States, the promoters and things just were not there anymore.
So you guys ended up calling a day after that album, correct?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Was that a mutual thing between the band members, or how'd that unfold?
Yeah, very mutual. I mean, you come home. It's just like, imagine you come home. A band is a family. You come home and there's long faces everywhere. Nobody's happy, and there's nothing to do, and there's no money, and there's no what do we do today? Nothing. Nobody wants you, so you start looking for a job and everything. You're like, holy shit! 6 months ago I was a rock star. Now I'm looking for a job.
Yeah,
and it's a harsh reality that you have to accept. Nothing is ever forever in life. There's no doubt about that. So some people take it nicely, and some people don't. Some people say, well, let's ride the wave, and some people are upset about it. I mean, I was quite upset, but got myself a job. I said, okay, what am I gonna do? Be a rock star for the rest of my life, or want to be a rock star? I said, no, I'm a musician, but I'm also a human being. I'm a person, and if I have to work, then I will work. I will find a job and work, and it's okay.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. And there was about 10 years between the time you guys split and then reunited again, right?
Yeah, I completely got out of the music business. Completely
altogether.
Altogether, I was no longer
voice like yourself. You got out of the music business.
Yeah, I did an album with Jeff Northrop, J.K. Northrop, just like that. But really, there was really nothing anymore. It was for me. It was over. I was like, I'm done.
And did you continue to write though?
Of course, I continued writing. I just didn't know what to write and what to do, what style to write, because I was writing like the Nirvana kind of thing because I can as a songwriter. I'm a songwriter, so I can adjust. And I was writing that stuff, and I'm like, it's I can do it, but I don't feel it. So if I don't feel it, I'm not gonna do it. So I wrote the songs, I listened to them, I recorded them just for myself and my buddy Jeff. But we never really did anything with the songs. We played the clubs, we played some clubs left and right under different names. But there was nobody to come and see us. Maybe 5 people, 6 people,
Yeah.
It's a shock when you play you open up for Ozzy, Dio, and Foreigner, those band Cooper and Alice Cooper, and then you play in front of 8, 10, 15,000 people, and then you end up playing in front of 3 people that don't even care. They're like, who are those losers?
Yeah, that's rough. Are you ever gonna do anything with those songs, or have you put any of them
No,
out?
I didn't do anything with it. I just find it because I found them the other day on my hard drive, and I'm like, Yeah, some of them really good. I mean, the lyrics were really good. Jeff was writing the lyrics, and I was writing the melody and the music, and they were really good, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't.
I mean, these days it's easy to get it out there.
Yeah, no.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. So fast forward then to 2000, around 2002, early 2000s, right? You guys decided to do it again, or at least you did, right?
I called Pat. I said, why don't we do something together? Pat was no longer into playing. He was like, he was disappointed. He was like, nah,
Mm.
So I did an album called Letter to God, which was a good album. I think in retrospect, I should have never called it XYZ because Pat wasn't there, Mark wasn't there.
It was just
So
you, right?
just me and Paul.
Mhm.
So I wrote the songs with Jeff, the new guitarist, and I don't think I should have called it XYZ in retrospect because I don't think it's fair. But I didn't want to call it XYZ, but the record company said, if we don't call it XYZ, you're not going to sell it. I'm like, yeah, he's right. So I call it XYZ, and it did very well, believe it or not. I mean, made a lot of money. And I realized there was a market for it. I'm like, fuck, people are starting to come back to rock. 2003, 2004, slowly they're coming back to rock. It took a while. And that was it. Slowly I got back in the music business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you found yourself in Great White for a little bit.
Yes, for about 9 years.
9 years, so more than a little bit. That's a long time. How many records did you do with them?
3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We did 563 shows.
Wow. How was that? How'd that go?
Great. I had a great experience with the band. I was honored to be on stage with them. It was a great experience. I looking back, I'm grateful to have been a member of the band. It's a great band. I had great songs, great musicians. It was not easy because Jack's a great singer.
Yeah.
And replacing another great singer is never easy, and people look at you like, "Well, you're not that good,"
You're not Jack.
Even though you could be great, people are like, "Well, I mean, it's very difficult to replace someone. Very
sure.
Difficult.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So, but I did it, and I did it my way. I talked to Jack about that many times. He said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so happy you didn't clone me. You didn't try to become a little clone." I said, I would never be somebody's clone. I would never be somebody's bitch either.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who I am. I have my own personality, and I believe that I mean, at times in my life it was a good thing. At times in my life it was a bad thing. But I'm true to who I am, and like sometimes they hire a singer, and they want him to sound like the original guy. Like Foreigner, for example. I was asked to sing in Foreigner, actually.
Were you?
Of course. Before
Didn't you tour with them?
I toured with them. So I toured with them for 4 months, I believe, 4 or 5 months. I was asked to sing in Foreigner before Kelly joined the band. And I recorded a demo, which actually I think it's really good. But I don't sound nothing like Lou Gramm.
Right.
And I didn't want to sound like Lou Gramm. I said, Lou Gramm is an iconic singer. I really love Lou Gramm. I love his voice. He's one of my favorite singers in the world. I just don't want to be him. I want to be me. So is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I just said no. So when the guys in the band asked me, could you get closer to his voice? I said no.
Yeah.
Retrospect, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I think it's important to be true to yourself, and remember that why you're doing this in the first place. Why are you in this music business? And I remember well. I said, well, maybe it's not much, but I'm Terry Ilous, and I'm who I am, and that's all. And I don't want to be somebody else's clone.
That's all you need to be. Be you.
And that's why Jack and I get along well, because we talked about that. He said, I'm so glad you never wanted to sound like me. I said, no, I respected your phrasing, and I respected the songs you have written or co-written. They were very well written by the band and you. However, I want to be me. And he said, I appreciate that very much. So, very, very much so. So, no, I had a great time with Great White. I still talk to the guys, some of them.
So you're on good terms.
Yeah, I mean,
because it didn't end too well, right?
It didn't end too well. They had their reasons, and I don't even know why. I would never know why. But it's okay. Things happen. I think I'm happy they're doing well right now. I have no animosity, none. I'm doing very well, as you know, thank God, and I have no animosity whatsoever. I wish them the very best. I'm friends with Audie and Scotty. I haven't talked to Mark in a while, but I talked to Bridget once. She sent me nice flowers when my dad passed away. It's very nice of her, and I have to say that they're good people. They did what they had to do to survive.
Sure.
Was it the right way to do it? I don't think so. They could have called. They could have called.
Could have gave you a call.
Yeah, they could have given me a call. But maybe they had their reasons. Maybe they were, I don't know. We'll never know. But the bottom line is, it's all good. I'm happy they had another singer, and I think another one now, and I'm happy for them. And really, from the bottom of my heart, I can tell you that I'm happy for them.
Good. You got a great attitude.
It's okay. You got to have a good attitude. And on top of that, they're good people. I mean, Mark's got a heart of gold, and Audie is a funny guy. Audie and Scotty were like my brothers. So
yeah,
I love the guys, and they're good people.
Yeah. So then you released a solo album. I believe it was called Gypsy Dreams, right?
Yeah.
And that was a few years after Great White, I think. You had, like I said earlier, you have so much going on. You got to correct me if I'm wrong here.
It was at the end of Great White. I released about at the same time I released Gypsy Dream.
Okay.
Which is a mixture of rock songs, all redone, I would say rewritten. I don't want to say that word because it's wrong, but I would say rethought. You know what I mean? With more of a flamenco Spanish flavor. And it did very well. I had a lot of compliment. It did very well as far as the media. It didn't sell millions of albums, but it did okay. And most importantly, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's what matters. It's good music. I listened to it, and it's good music. You also did like a Latin thing with some cover tunes. Was that with the Vagabonds?
That's it. That's what it is. That's the album. That's the Vagabonds. Yes, Gypsy Dreams. Yeah.
Okay. Was that the covers?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I got that mixed up.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, there's some great songs on there. But you did fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it did well. I got lots of good reviews. We did some. We played performing arts centers and special private events for the rich and famous and stuff like that. And for good money. And I played with great musicians. And most importantly, I enjoyed myself, which is what it's all about. I do music. Whatever I do it for me first. I'm selfish. Yeah. I do the art for me, like a painter, like a sculptor sculpting an image or something. It's his vision. It's for him. And in the morning when he looks at it, it's like, wow, okay, I hope someone's gonna like it because I really like it. Well, maybe nobody likes it, but he likes it, so it matters. If nobody likes it, then you move on. You do something else. But important thing in life is to do things for yourself. As far as an artist, number one thing is to do things for yourself, and hopefully other people will like it. But if you like it, if you really love it, they will like it. Some people.
Yeah. And then you also did an album called oh man, what was that called? The one where you wrote, it was songs that you wrote for others.
Oh yeah. I as a songwriter, I write a lot of songs.
Right.
Hired Gun is called.
I
write a lot of songs for other people. Sometimes people call me and say, "Hey, can you sing on my album?" I said, "Yeah, let me hear your song." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay." I do it, but I would rather write the song.
Okay.
And people said, okay. Some people say no, some people say yes. So I usually write for other people as well. Like I do a lot of things for film, TV, and little things like that. And I like to write. Like I'm working on a movie right now, a pretty big movie actually. It's coming out next year, and I did 4 of the main songs, especially the main track. I recorded it.
Nice.
It's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Is that hard to write for others?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I listen to the artist, what he's all about, what he or she all about, and then I try to put myself in their shoes and um, and right. I mean, like for this particular movie, the director told me, he said, "This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this type of songs and everything." And I said, "Who's going to be singing them?" And he said, "Well, the actor is one of the main actor. Is going to be singing the songs." And I'm like, "Okay, so I'm not going to sing them." He says, "No." So in that particular case, I would change the key because I have a pretty high range.
Sure,
So
not many people can sing like you.
I I changed the range, the key of the song, and I think okay, and the phrasing sometimes because I have a different phrasing. You know, I have a blues, rock, lazy, a very lazy Coverdale type of phrasing. I don't have a fast phrasing like Steven Tyler
Hmm.
or Axl Rose. I don't have that, you know. So I changed that, and you know, and where the guy could, they don't want blues. Okay, let's make it more whitish, so white like this way, more. Or if they want blues, okay, then perfect, you know. So you adjust, you know. It's like somebody says, "Hey, can you paint my car blue?" But you only paint black cars. You're like, all right, I can paint blue. And you think blue, what's blue? Okay, blue is this way. Okay, there's different shades of blue. Oh yeah, that's right. So
Hmm.
you just have to adjust and talk to the director and I. We talked a lot. I gave him so many choices as far as songs. I was fishing at first to say,
Hmm.
"Do you like this?" He's like, "Nah." Okay, "Do you like that?" "Nah." And then, "Do you like this?" It's getting better. So I give him different ideas. I sent him like so many different ideas. I would play with my guitar, singing. I said, "How about this?" He's like, "Nah." And then finally I went to see him. I said, "Let me sing you something." And he said, "That's it. That's what I want." I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. I said, "What are you going to do with that?" He said, "That's the title track of the movie." I'm like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." So I wrote another one. He said, "Well, that's the other song." So I wrote 4 songs for the movie, and I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. And now you're still doing XYZ stuff now, right?
Currently, I'm doing some version of XYZ, meaning Pat, uh, Pat and Joey are doing different things. So I decided to reconnect with Paul, the original drummer for XYZ, and Paul and I we hired the 2 kids from All and Nothing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so we put a package together, which is interesting because it's the kids first. They do an hour and they sound great. And then it's XYZ featuring Paul and myself. So it's really not XYZ. I call it Terry Ilous of XYZ. I don't like
Mm,
to lie to the fans. So I call it Terry Ilous of XYZ featuring Paul Monroe of XYZ. And then we hire the 2 guys and they sound great, you know, great, love and energy, great
yeah,
guitarist,
yeah.
bass player. And then we bring George on stage, and George does 45 minutes with us. So it's a package,
Oh,
3 hour
wow.
package, and it's doing very well. I'm like, oh my god, promoters are buying it like crazy because they get
Wow.
3.5 hour show. They get All or Nothing, which is a great band. They have a lot of energy, a lot of fan base, big fan base. Then they got Terry Lewis of XYZ and Paul, and then they bring George, and
Nice.
like another 45 minutes. So it's a great package.
Yeah. Are you doing I'm assuming you're doing XYZ tunes, and are you doing Dokken as well?
Yeah, I love Dawkins. I did that's time I did a thing with Don. We did with George. We did It's Not Love. We did also The Hunter. We did Keith the Death. We did what else we did? We did 6 or 7 songs, and we did a Lynch Mob as well. I love it.
Nice.
Those are great
Nice.
songs. I mean, I'm a big Dawkins fan. I'm a big Lynch Mob fan. I mean, Oni was a great singer. Oh, he's a great singer.
Uh,
So, oh yeah, I'm excited about that. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. It's got to be a blast. Do you have a favorite Dawkins song you like to sing?
Um, I think I like The Hunter. I think it's a great song.
Great song. Great song right there. Now, your voice, one thing I noticed listening to you throughout the years is your voice hasn't changed. At least I don't notice it changed. Is there, I mean, how do you keep your voice so strong? Is there anything you do? So, okay. So there's no special tricks that these Terry tricks.
I don't even warm up. I gotta be honest.
What? So wait a minute. So you just have your casual conversation, walking up the stage, get on stage, and then belt that out. That comes out of you.
The only time I would warm up is if I do many shows in a row. So I would do like, okay, done, let's do it. You know, that's about it. I don't warm up. I should, but when I do many shows in a row, I do for like 10 minutes maybe. Not like some other singers who would like warm up all day, take a shower with a steamer and everything. I'm like, nah, no.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I don't drink, I don't smoke, no drugs, drink a lot of water, and I choose my songs carefully. There are songs that I don't think I could be singing well, and I've been asked to sing them, and I'm like, no, I'll pass on them because I know my limitations. For example, I don't think I'd be good at singing Brian Johnson, which I do sometimes. I do a couple of his songs, but it's a very different technique as a singer. And he's a great singer, that guy. And same for Tom Kiefer, the way he sings, it's very different. I don't think I'd be good at it. I'd be much more comfortable singing Dio or singing blues than singing Cinderella. It's not a matter of range. I would be able to do it, but I don't know how he saves his voice like that. That's amazing. So I don't think I'd be good at it. You know,
Tom still sounds great singing those Cinderella songs too.
Oh, Tom is great. You know, Clint Eastwood said one day, he said, "A man's got to know his limitations."
And you know your limitations, then, all right?
Of course,
that's good.
I'm far from being the greatest. I know what I can and can't do.
Well, that's a good thing to know. Now you did what did you do with Acdc?
Well, I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
Can't really talk about it. But let's just say that there was some stuff going on, yes, but I can't talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I know I'm very good friends with some of the guys. Put it this way. But that's all I can say.
Fair enough. I did some stuff that Brian was involved with.
Oh, you did? Some recordings?
We've played. I was in a project that he kind of put together. I play bass.
Yeah,
so, yeah. Oh yeah, you get that. But he wrote a lot of the songs, and you know, we performed them, and you know, he would come to rehearsals, and then we do like Back in Black and Dirty Deeds live, and you know, just that kind of stuff. But good times.
He's a great guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he was always great to us. Good guy.
I like Brian. You know, he's a great singer. His story is pretty amazing. He didn't want to be in the band. He said, "Nah, I'm not interested." And he did it. And he was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it. What the heck, you know?" And he never realized when he wrote those songs that it would become so huge. He had no idea. He was not even into the band at all. I mean, he was into the band, but he was not about to go for it. He was like, "Man, whatever." You know?
Yeah. So, well, sometimes that's what happens, right?
You know, it's a bit. I mean, on a smaller level, it's what happened with me and Great White. I had no idea when they contacted me to sing in the band. I was like, yeah, you know, they have so many voices, so many great singers. Gonna call them. I remember they were talking to all these singers. I'm not gonna name them, and I was like, they're not gonna take me, you know. So I'm just gonna do a couple of shows with them, and that's it. And after doing a couple of shows, Mark looked at me like, "I like you." I'm like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." And I didn't think much, you know. I'm like, they're gonna tell me to get lost, you know.
Yeah.
And no, they kept me for 9 years.
That's fantastic. Was there other offers that came into you after XYZ?
You mean after Great White or XYZ? No, you
After
mean
XYZ, like
after XYZ? Yeah, different bands. I usually don't want to talk about that. I keep things private.
sure.
Yeah, there was two big bands
Hmm.
that offered me a thing, but I would have had one of them. I would have had to relocate to Europe.
Hmm.
Uh, I was a big band actually. I was
Hmm.
just not ready to go back to Europe.
Didn't want to do that.
I was like, no, I don't want to go back to Europe.
Hmm.
It was a big band and much bigger than XYZ actually, and bigger than Great White. Um, it's just and another American band actually. Um, we can talk about that because unfortunately, guy passed away. But Quiet Riot wanted me in Quiet Riot.
Really?
Yeah,
That's it. That's interesting.
Frankie wanted me in the band. He's like, "You're the right guy for the band." I'm like, "I don't think so." You are. I'm like, "No, I don't think so." I said my style is too bluesy, and he says, "Oh, you can sing all those songs." Yeah, I can sing them, but would that do them justice? I don't know because I'm not gonna feel them the
Yeah.
way, for example, their current singer. What's his name? Who's the current singer?
Jizzy.
Jesus, doing such a great job.
Jizzy's killing it with them.
Oh, he's killing the songs. Jesus is a great singer, and that's his style. That's his
Hmm.
style. So I would never do. I would never do justice to the songs the way he does. But
Right.
Frankie asked me, and I said, "Nah, I'm not the right guy."
Well, that goes back to knowing what you can do, and
Yeah, I was
right.
afraid. I was afraid to lose my voice. I was like, "No, I'm more of a blues guy. Plus, I'm more of a romantic, so I need ballads. I need I need songs where I don't have to scream all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a singer, and meanings, my heroes were not necessarily screamers. My
Hmm.
heroes were singers. You know,
Hmm. Hmm. Did you get to jam with them? With Quiet Riot?
no, never did.
No, you never even gave
Never
it a shot.
did. No,
Okay.
never did. We Frankie came over. My place. We had a drink. We talked about songs, about money, and it's okay. Let's make a deal. And then it didn't work out. I was like,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel right. He
Yeah.
called 2 days later. He said, maybe you're right. I'm like, yeah, I think
Hmm.
you're better off with somebody else that feels those songs, that lives those songs. Um, I wasn't right when I joined, for example, Great White. I was comfortable. That's more my style. I was like, yeah, it's more
Sure.
blues rock. That was more my style. When you know, I felt comfortable, much more comfortable.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're a fantastic singer, but I think you're right. I don't know if that would have worked with Quiet Riot.
No, and I didn't want to damage tarnish the image and
Hmm.
the sound of the band. The band has a great legacy, and I don't think they need someone like me to sing those songs. I think it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to insult the fans, and it's important to respect the legacy.
Sure. Sure. You're a good man, Terry.
I don't know. Thanks.
Hey, before I let you go, though, I wanted to ask you, we're going to go way back now. What was it like growing up in France?
It's interesting because there was no rock music. You have to
Right.
understand that I did not listen to rock music when I was a kid. I never listened to. See, in America, you guys listen to when you crank up the radio in the 60s, 70s, late 70s. You guys were listening to CCR. You guys were listening to the Beatles, and
Hmm.
I mean, well, the Beatles were everywhere, but bands like CCR or Backman Turner Overdrive, all those bands in the 70s, they were rocking Rod Stewart, the Faces. They were rocking the radio stations here in the US. Steve Marriott, Humble Pie. In Europe, especially in France, in Europe, in England, yes, but in France, people didn't listen to that. Same for Germany, people were listening to, because Klaus Meine and I talked about that a few times. I said, what did you listen to when you were a kid? He said, pop, 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 boom, 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 boom. That's what he listened to. So in order to listen to rock music, friends were getting together. I said, what do you have? What do you get? Well, I got this. I got 10 years after. Who's 10 years after? I got Deep Purple. Who's Deep Purple? So
Yeah.
the mainstream bands like the Stones, yeah, they were big time, of course, but the rest of the music was crappy. It was mostly romantic music, and Imagine a song like I forgot the name of that song. You know that song?
I think so. I think I know what you're talking
Huge
about. I don't know the
song
name.
that was #1 in France, Germany, England, and all over the world was #1. And she should like really. So in order to become a rock singer, man, I had to. I don't know how I did it because it was not in the cards for me.
Yeah, I mean, how did you even find out about it though?
Well, I was trying to be a crooner. I wanted to be like Tony Bennett.
Uh-huh.
I was in. I love Tony Bennett, Tom Jones, all those singers, real singers of this crooners, Italian crooner style, and I was like, "This is what I want to be." And it didn't happen for some reasons. It didn't happen, and Pat was looking for a singer. Pat Fontaine was putting a band together, my XYZ guy, and he was looking for a singer. And I guess I was the only one who could sing rock because I could sing rock, but I was not into it. But I could. But I didn't know how well I could sing. I had no idea. So he paid me a lot of money to do a demo, and now I'll do it for the money. Who cares? So I did it, and I liked it. I was like, well, I kind of like it. It's fun. And then I said, yeah. And then my heroes were Ian Gillan and, of course, and Steve Marriott. So I was like, well, I want to sing like my heroes. So that was it. I became a rock singer. I was the only one in my town. People were like asking me all the time, can you sing? Can you do? And I'm like, I wasn't sure. And then I was like, yeah, maybe I can do that. But Pat said, let's go to the US. We're going to be rich and famous. So we went to the US. He went first. When I arrived in the US, I remember at LAX, I arrived with my guitar in one hand, a small bag in the other, like a typical immigrant, and $500 in my pocket. That's all. That's all I had. And I said, "Where are the women? Where are the record? Where's the record company?" He said, "Get in the car." So we got in the car. We had an old Chevy Nova with no AC, nothing. The windows didn't roll up or down. Car was terrible, like no paint was all the paint was all faded. And I'm saying, where are we going? He said, Long Beach. For what? He said, that's where we live. I'm like, Long Beach? How can you become a rock star if you live in Long Beach? He's like, we're not gonna be rock stars, we're gonna find jobs. That was it. There was no record company, there was no. He said, but if I would have told you the truth, do you think you would have been on a plane? I'm like, nope. He said, good, welcome to America. And that was it.
So you just accepted that you weren't like, man, I'm going back.
But once it was there, you understand that when I left, my friends were like, bye, and people was like, and half of my other friends were like, he's not gonna come back. He's gonna come back broke. He's never gonna. And the other half of my friends were like, yes, he's gonna make it. So I was torn. I was like, okay, I cannot come back. So I took my return ticket. I have a return ticket, and I threw it away.
You had to make it.
I said I had to make it.
Mm-hmm.
No
That's
return,
awesome.
no return ticket.
Did XYZ ever get a chance to play over there?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, that had to feel great.
It felt great. The fans were very happy that we were the first French band to become gold in the US.
Fantastic. You got a great story. You ever think about writing a book?
I don't know if it's gonna wear and read it, but I have so many stories.
Yeah, man.
We all have an interesting lives, and I'm sure you have an interesting life, and we all do. Everybody, all the listeners right now, they all have interesting lives. We all have stories. All of us have stories.
That's fantastic. Listen, man, I appreciate you taking the time tonight. It's been a pleasure.
As well. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, man. All right. I'm looking forward to hearing some great stuff coming from you, Garrett.
Take care, mate. Be well.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.